There's a detail sitting inside Brand New Day that most people are scrolling right past. And once you actually stop on it, it's hard to unsee. It's about Ned Leeds, and by the time we're done today, you might find yourself looking at every scene he's in completely differently. Before we get into that, though, we need to talk about what's happening with Doomsday, because there's actual movement to report. A possible date shuffle, a trailer window that lines up almost too perfectly with San Diego Comic-Con, and fresh chatter about where Secret Wars is headed. So let's clear that out first, then we'll dig into Ned. Start with the release date. Word going around right now suggests Marvel might be quietly eyeing a one-week push for Avengers Doomsday. The motivation isn't story-related, it's IMAX. Studios have been known to nudge a release, just far enough that their tentpole gets an uncontested opening weekend on those giant screens, instead of splitting the format with a competitor. This particular rumor traces back to John Campea, and it's resurfacing now after making rounds before. Here's the thing though. The closer you look at the practical side of this, the shakier the idea gets. Marvel's already deep into rolling out something called the Infinity Vision format. Theater chains have been locked in, screen allocations have been negotiated. That's not the kind of machinery you casually rearrange a few months out. And then there's the marketing angle. Every countdown ticking away on Marvel's apps and websites right now, every teaser that's dropped, ... all of it points to December 18th. Shifting that date wouldn't just be an internal calendar tweak. It would mean Marvel publicly admitting a change during the exact window they're supposed to be building unstoppable momentum. That's not really their style this close to launch. So, our take, December 18th holds. If something does eventually change, the trailer is where they'd break that news, not a quiet press release. And speaking of the trailer, this is where it gets interesting. Two outlets that track insider info, Beyond Reporter and No More Mutants, are both circulating the same claim. Marvel's targeting July 25th for the first Doomsday trailer, dropping around 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. Now, I want to be upfront. These aren't the heavy-hitter sources that have historically nailed Marvel scoops. So this sits more in plausible rumor territory than confirmed fact. But the timing tells its own story. Comic-Con lands right around then, and everything we're hearing points to Marvel wanting Hall H to be the moment. Trailer drops in the room live, hits the internet at the same second, and the hype machine takes it from there. It's a smart play, and July 25th fits that plan almost too neatly to ignore. On top of all that, there's real traction building around Secret Wars. Alex Perez has floated that Marvel is seriously weighing a 2-film split for it. And that lines up with something the Russo brothers said themselves after wrapping Doomsday. They mentioned having 2 more Robert Downey Jr. projects still ahead of them. Add in that another insider, Midman, is echoing the same 2-part structure, and a pattern starts to form. Doomsday, then Secret Wars broken into 2 chapters, 3 films carrying us to the finish line. We'll probably know a lot more once Comic-Con actually happens. Doomsday, then Secret Wars broken into 2 chapters, 3 films carrying us to the finish line. We'll probably know a lot more once Comic-Con actually happens. Is Ned Leeds quietly being set up as Brand New Day's Hobgoblin? I know it sounds like a stretch on the surface. But walk through this with me, because piece by piece it stops sounding like a reach, and starts sounding uncomfortably plausible. First, where does Ned actually stand right now? Thanks to Strange's spell, Ned has no memory that Peter Parker was ever his best friend. Peter simply doesn't exist in his mind. That part's clear. What's less talked about is how Ned is behaving in the aftermath, and it's strange. He hasn't just moved on with his life the way you'd expect someone to when a memory is genuinely gone. Instead, he's spiraling into an intense fixation on Spider-Man specifically. We're talking a full tracking setup. Logging sightings, mapping fight locations, breaking down details like Spider-Man's build, his voice, his likely age. That's not casual fan curiosity. That's someone circling a wound they don't know they have. And this is where the mechanics of the spell actually matter, because I don't think people are giving this enough weight. Stranger's spell didn't erase anything, it buried it. Suppression and deletion are 2 completely different processes. A deleted memory is gone. A suppressed one is still down there, still exerting pressure, just without a name attached to it anymore. Psychologically, That's exactly how suppressed material tends to behave in real life too. It doesn't vanish, it leaks out sideways. Unexplained pulls toward certain people, certain patterns, certain feelings of something's missing that you can't pin down. Ned's spiraling obsession with Spider-Man isn't random. It's his brain trying to rebuild a shape it can still feel the outline of, even though the actual memory is locked away. Think about it this way. In Ned's emotional world, there used to be a Peter-shaped space. That space didn't close up when the memory disappeared. Something had to fill it. And because Ned's subconscious still links Spider-Man and Peter together so tightly, Spider-Man has essentially slid into that empty spot. He's chasing a stand-in without realizing there was ever an original. Now stack a second layer on top of that. Ned isn't just any kid dealing with a weird gap in his memory. No Way Home already proved he has a genuine, untrained talent for magic, and not a small one. Without any formal instruction, holding a sling ring for barely a moment, Ned tore open interdimensional portals, and did it with growing control each time. For context, Doctor Strange spent years training at Comertage to do what Ned pulled off almost instinctively. And crucially, so that's the theory: a suppressed memory, an untrained power with nowhere to go, and a sacrifice that might be quietly building Peter's next villain. Whether Marvel actually takes Ned there is still anyone's guess. Let me know what you think in the comments and subscribe for more.